What's up, guys? It's Dr. Jim. I am your natural health care expert and your specialist in autoimmune and chronic health conditions, as well as I'm here to use my gifts at making the very complex seem very, very simple so that you can heal naturally. So while you're getting on, please let me know where you're coming in from, and if you're watching it live or on the replay, because I love to know that information. But tonight's topic, tonight's event is really, it's part of a five-part plan or a five-part series on what's a five-part plan to working on healing naturally or overcoming autoimmune diseases and chronic health conditions. And that's really, really important because I got to tell you, over the past year, I've done a number of videos about autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions, and man, it is just, there is so many people that have reached out to me and be like, Doc, I need more information. You got to tell me more. You got to share this kind of stuff with people because this is going to change people's lives because these are very, very serious health conditions. And so that's why we're starting off with the our five-step plan to working with autoimmune conditions and overcoming autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions. And so that's what we're all about. That's what we're going to do tonight. So who is this training for? Who is this plan for? This five-part series. It's a five-part series. Tonight we're going to go over the introduction in part one. All right. So if you're just watching this first video, guess what? You're in the right place because you are right at the start. Awesome. Thanks for getting on, Brendan. Thanks for commenting. When you're getting on, please put in your name. Well, that'll put in there, but where you're coming in from and whether you're watching it live on the replay, because I like to know where everybody's coming in from, because this is going to go everywhere. Please also, if you wouldn't mind, like this video and share it so that we can get more and more people as a part of this awesome five-part series on how to overcome autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions. This is a five-part plan. Tonight is the intro and part one. So who would this whole thing be for? Who should you share it with, and why should you be on, and why should you care, and what's this plan? Who's this plan for? Well, it's really for anybody who has been battling with chronic health conditions. Now, those can be chronic health conditions like type 2 diabetes, or it can be with people with like lots of different autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's, low thyroid, or Graves' disease, hyperthyroid, or people that have ulcerative colitis or celiac disease, or people that have rheumatoid arthritis or lupus or MS or psoriasis and eczema, or literally any Raynaud's, literally any autoimmune condition or chronic health condition that you can think of, heart disease, high blood pressure, like all of these are the chronic health conditions that are going on in the world. And right now, heart disease, cancer, and chronic health conditions are literally the #1 killers in the United States and around the world. And that's why we're going after them, because they're on the rise and we can definitely help with them. So this plan is literally for anybody who knows that they have one of those types of conditions. You know who else this series is for? Even if you don't already have a diagnosis, but you absolutely know something's wrong. You know you don't feel well. You know there's something wrong. No one's given you a diagnosis yet, but you've been to this doctor and you've been to that doctor and you know there's a problem, but no one can figure it out. All right? And no one can figure it out, and but you keep going back because you know there's not wrong. If every time you go to the doctor, you have a full page of symptoms and problems, and no one's able to help you, then this video series is for you. All right? So I want you to know you're not alone. I want to give you hope tonight. This is going to be important. So please like it and share it, and let's get it out everywhere. Now, I have come to know that over helping thousands and thousands of people with autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions, that the most important thing that everybody needs if you want to overcome it is you got to have a plan, right? If you don't have a plan, you're going nowhere, right? The old saying is if you aren't planning to succeed, then you've already planned to fail. And so ultimately you got to have a plan. And so tonight we're going to start with part one of that plan of how to start moving forward and how can you start working on overcoming autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions. Now, What I've tried to do is take a very complex topic like autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions and really make it simple so that it's actionable, so that these are things that you will understand, that you can take it and you'll know exactly what to do. And I do have to check my notes a little bit here and there. Now, if you follow this plan, if you follow this process, I already know the answers. I already know your end game. And the best part is your end game on the other side is most likely that feeling of health, that feeling of energy, all that stuff that you've been really hoping for, that you've been dreaming about, that you've been praying about, that feeling and that level of health that you basically have given up on. And it's because you've been to doctor after doctor, you've been to specialist after specialist, and and none of them have been able to help you up until now. Or you've been on this drug or that drug, and at the end of it all, you still feel miserable. You still have all the symptoms of your autoimmune condition or your chronic healthcare condition, and nobody's been able to help. Well, I want you to know that I'm here tonight to bring you hope. I'm here to bring you a game plan that is going to finally make that difference for you, that's going to make a change, and you will have the ability in following this plan to get the kind of results that you've only dreamed about up until now. The results you've been praying about, the hopes, because I'm going to give you that hope and the answers to those prayers through this process, okay? So I'm excited for you. It's going to really, really be awesome. So if you've been to doctor after doctor looking for solutions to this problem, go ahead and just put in doctors in the comments, and so we'll know that you've been searching, that you've been trying to get answers. Somebody put no answers. Exactly, no answers. So just put in the comments doctors, and that's how we know you've been searching, looking everywhere. All right. So the reason why I know what your end game is because I, personally, in my journey in healthcare and helping people, I've worked with thousands and thousands of people with autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions. And at the level I've helped them with has been great, but now something that's even better is I am now in a collaboration with a team of medical doctors in Europe. All right? A team of medical doctors in Europe that have a level of care that they are providing that is unmatched in the world. And I am collaborating with them here in the United States. And I want you to understand this. The reason I am so confident of the results, that if you the exact plan and procedures and processes that I'm going to talk about in this 5-part series is the same plan and process that they use with their patients. They have treated over 40,000 cases of autoimmune conditions and chronic health conditions. And the research study that they presented showed that in a 3 to 6 month period of time, over 85% of those people had either significant improvement or a complete resolution of their healthcare problem. Now, my question is, if that's the kind of results that you are looking for, then just put results in the comments, because I think that's what everybody wants, right? Everybody wants that kind of results. So those are the results that if you stick with this series, it's a 5-part series, if you like it and share it, if you get involved with it over this time frame, you are going to see a result like you've only been dreaming about. And so just please follow along with me. It's going to be great. So tonight we start with step 1 of the 5-part plan to overcoming autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions. Now, I'm going to sneeze here in a second. So step 1, all right, this is the key. Excuse me, here it goes. Excuse me. Oh, that's the first time I have sneezed on a live. I mean, I've done probably 100 of them, so it's amazing that's the first time. So, woo! There we go. Now we're fired up. Step 1 of the 5-part plan is, number 1, you've got to put out the fire. All right? Write that down. Just like anywhere, on the top of a piece of paper, on a whiteboard, anywhere you want. Number 1, you have to put out the fire. All right? That's step 1 of the plan. So what do I mean by that? Well, number 1, I want you to think about your body like it's a house or a building. Not a building, but like a big, like a big hotel, right? 50-story building in New York City. That's your body, right? And I want you to think about your autoimmune condition or your chronic health condition like a fire, all right? And let's say a lot of times, it starts like a little trash can fire in the basement, right? And then it grows, and next thing you know, the whole basement's on fire. And then pretty soon, not only is it just the basement on fire, but floors 1, 2, and 3 are on fire, all right? Now, remember, imagine this is your body, and that fire is this autoimmune condition or this chronic health care condition. It started off small, but now it's growing, it's gaining steam, and it's moved from the basement. Now it's affecting floors 1, 2, and 3. And then the fire somehow gets on the elevator, and it zips up, and next thing you know, it started fires on floor 18, 22, and 33. And now you have multiple levels of fires. It's all going on at the same time. And it's, it has spread. And the blaze is getting stronger. It's getting bigger. And this is very much like how autoimmune conditions and chronic health care conditions start. They start off small, like a waste paper basket fire in the basement. And next thing you know, it has spread. And it is affecting multiple levels and multiple systems in the body, right? And now while this fire is raging on in your body, right, it's burning down some walls on certain floors, right? Some of the doors on those floors have been burned out, so the doors are gone. So much fire and oxygen movement that the windows on certain floors of your building have blown out, right? Now, on each one of these floors now in your body, in your hotel, in your building, the fire alarm has kicked on. It's kicked on in the basement. It's kicked on floor 1. It's kicked on floor 2. It's kicked on floor 3. The alarms on 18, 22, 33, they're all going off. The sprinkler systems have kicked on 33, 18. They've kicked on in the basement. And so what's happening is all of these things, the fire alarm and the sprinklers have all kicked on. And now the sprinklers are pouring so much water out that it's flooding the floors on each one of these levels, right? And it's flooding the floors on floor 33. And guess what? It's so much flooding, it's seeping down and it's getting into the ceiling of floor 32. And this is exactly what happens when you have autoimmune or chronic health conditions is these alarms are sounding and the sprinkler systems have come on. And now the sprinkler system, which is designed to try to help maybe stop your problem, has now created flooding on other floors. So here's the problem. Now, what did I say step number 1 of the plan to overcoming autoimmunity or chronic health conditions is? Number 1, you got to put out the fire, right? But guess what? How often, how much has your treatment so far been about putting out the fire? Or have you gone from doctor to doctor, from, even whether they're natural or allopathic doctors, from yoga instructor to herbalist or whatever, and everything that you get is not about putting out the fire, right? It's like, the doctors, you have to think about the doctors. It would be like if they run into the building, and guess what they're trying to now? Now they're running around and they're on the basement and they're trying to turn off the fire alarm, all right? Or they're running around on every floor turning off the fire alarm. Meanwhile, the fire is still going. So the fire alarm keeps popping back on, right? Because they're just treating symptoms. They're chasing symptoms. And is a fire alarm the problem, or is that a symptom of the fire? It's a symptom of the fire. So, but your typical treatment is they're going around trying to shut off fire alarms on every floor. Meanwhile, the fire is still going on. Or you bring in contractors or other people, and they're like, uh-oh, there's blown out windows on this floor, and they burned walls down. So while the fire is raging on, they're trying to replace the windows and rebuild walls and put new doors in on every level while the fire is still going on. Now, do you see how that doesn't make any sense? But I want you to understand that the current level of treatment that you're most likely getting is really centered around this symptom chasing, all right? Typically, your doctors are spending a tremendous amount of their time chasing fire alarms and replacing broken windows and doors while the fire continues to rage on. So what did I say the number 1 step of the plan has to be? You got to put out the fire, right? Because think about this. So even in this building that's trying to protect itself from the fire, the sprinklers kick on, right? And the sprinklers are dumping water. But now you got water seeping into the floors below it. Well, the typical treatment now is like, uh-oh, we've got water damage. Next thing you know, they're in there trying to clean up water remediation, and they're ripping out ceiling tiles to replace them because there's been flood damage. All right, and now you have flood. Oh, see, the problem is we got flooding here in this ceiling, and we got to fix this ceiling. No, that's not the problem. Do you understand what I'm saying? That the problem is the fire. All right, the flooding is a secondary byproduct of the fire. But most people, when they're working on helping you, when you're working on helping yourself, unfortunately, we run from one place to another, from one test to another, so that we can get a new name for whatever's going on, and we can get a new drug. And I'm not saying you're doing this wrong. I'm just saying this is the standard treatment, that we get a new drug to replace windows, to patch up doorways, to fix ceiling tiles that have flooded, when at the end of it all, that fire is still raging, right? So if you think that you have a fire, if you understand that analogy and you think that there is a fire still raging in your body, that autoimmune condition is still raging, it's still a problem, put yes in the comments, right? Because I want to know if you're understanding this analogy, because I got different ones. Another way to think about it is this. Imagine, so I love Game of Thrones. It's been great. It's very timely right now as it's just happened. And there are giants in Game of Thrones. So if you want to say something like, gotta kill your fire, you gotta put out the fire, well, another way to think about it is you gotta kill the giant, right? So imagine a giant is walking through your city and he is smashing building after building, knocking down walls. Well, the typical treatment, the typical game plan to help you is go in and let's start rebuilding the coffee shop that the giant just stepped on, right? Now, my question is, does that make any sense? Like we're gonna start patching up buildings and trying to rebuild the coffee shop and patch windows. Meanwhile, the giant is still going through, just crashing through everything. So what do you have to do? If you really want help, you got to kill the giant, right? Kill the giant. You got to put out the fire. You have to kill the giant. All right? So that is a very important thing to look at, because what I see typically, both in natural health care and in regular medical care, is a continual chasing of symptoms. You know, wow, I've got really low energy. So now what we're doing is we're chasing, how do we give you more energy, right? Or, you know, I can't sleep well. So now we're chasing, how can we help you sleep well? Meanwhile, the root cause of it all is the giant. The root cause of it all is the fire, and nobody's actually going after that. They're treating all of the symptoms around it. All right? Does that make sense? So if you really want, the very first step, right? Like I said, you got to have a plan, and if you don't have a plan, you're planning to fail. And so the very first part of this plan has to be, you have to be focused. You have to let go of all of these concepts of treating your symptoms. All right? They're like, all of your symptoms are fire alarms and sprinkler systems and blown out windows and burned up walls and flooded ceiling tiles. Those are all symptoms of your burning building. And what you have to do is you have to change your mind. And you have to realize that if you really want to be healthy, if you really want to heal, if you really want to overcome exactly what the problem is, then what you have to do is you have to change how you think. All right? And I realize that that's an interesting way to start. But plan number one is you got to change how you think. You now have to go after the giant. You got to go after the fire. And if you don't, you will spend a lifetime of chasing symptoms. Because guess what? No matter how many windows we fix or how many ceiling tiles we fix that are flooded, as long as that fire is still going on, it's going to jump from floor to floor, and it's going to continue to create havoc and damage. And if you don't stop the fire, if you don't stop the giant, you are in for it. It's going to keep going. All right. So that's a huge part of game plan number one is, you have to find somebody. You have to look at treating the root cause. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's a lot of people that talk a big game about treating root cause, all right? And they'll say things like, well, you got to treat your diet because that's a root cause. Listen, I 100% agree that you have to treat root cause at its source, all right? But this is, unfortunately, the problem is most people treating root cause have no idea what the root cause is. They don't have a way to figure it out. They don't know where to go. They may use some testing, and they may use some great things. Shoot, I did this in the past. But at the end of it, the testing is just a way to go, all right, I think this is maybe a good place to start, but it's not exact and it's not precise. And so ultimately what you need is, if you want to put out the fire, if you want to kill the giant, then you got to know what the giant is. You got to know what's the fire, what's driving the fire. And when I say you got to know what it is, guess what? We don't have to know the name, because this is what I want you to understand. Let's say you have an autoimmune condition. There's literally 10,000 different places in your body that an autoimmune problem can attack. But there's only testing that can test for 500 of those 10,000 things. So what is the likelihood that your immune system is attacking something that we don't even have a test for? And you could spend waste your life trying to find another name for another problem that you feel. All right? Does that make sense? So my point is just finding more names to name all of what's wrong. Like, I don't have to name my fire to know it's a fire. Right? I don't have to name my giant, the Jolly Green Giant, to know it's a giant. It's a giant. I want to kill the giant. I want to kill the fire. Whatever, because what I need to know and what you need to know is what is causing the fire. Right? Get it? So step one of this entire process is you got to put out the fire, you got to kill the giant. A big part of that is knowing what it is, what's driving it, what's the cause, what's the root cause, right? And so, obviously, I understand this is part one, all right? You got to kill the fire, you got to put out the fire, kill the giant. It's part one, all right? If you don't start at part one, if you don't get part one, all the rest won't make sense. So you got to know this part down. I hope you took notes. I hope you like and share this all over the place. But this is what I also want you to know. I realize, because I've helped a lot of people with these conditions, it's a desperate situation. It's a desperate feeling. And listen, I realize you don't want to be like, listen, if you got a solution for me, doc, I don't want to wait until part number 5 before I get an opportunity to get some help. All right? So this is not, I hope everybody watches all 5 steps. Certainly not pushing this right now, but I do want you to know that with the team that I am collaborating with in Europe, there is a test that can literally test over 5,000 metabolites and find every biochemical pathway that's going on in your body, find exactly where it's broken and exactly how to fix it. The exact perfect diet for you and the exact things your body needs to take to fix every one of those imbalances so that your body in 3 to 6 months can completely heal naturally. All right? And so, So if this is something that you would be interested in, if you're interested in that level of testing and the program that goes along with it, if you would be interested in finally ending the trips to doctor after doctor and the waste of money on this program or that program or this much time off of work because you feel so bad, if you're done with that and you would like would you like a better option? Then what you can do is if you just put test in the comments. All right. When you put test in the comments, you are going to get a message sent to your messenger, Facebook Messenger. You open up, there will be a message from me that is going to give you some action steps. It's going to send you a video that explains the testing and everything. It's also going to encourage you to reach out and tell me all of your symptoms, what's going on, and it is going to send you our phone number if you would like a free phone consultation with me so that we can discuss your symptoms, ultimately determine, are you a good candidate for this type of care? All right. This is the exact same care that the group, the doctors that I work with in Europe, all right, the doctors that I've worked with in Europe have put over 40,000 people through this program. Autoimmune conditions and chronic healthcare conditions like Hashimoto's, lupus, MS, type 2 diabetes, rheumatoid arthritis, celiac, ulcerative colitis, psoriasis, eczema, all of these types of conditions. Over 40,000 people with an 85% success rate of either significant improvement or complete resolution. If you would like that level of results, if you would like that level, please put test in the comments and then go check your messenger and follow all the steps. I cannot wait to help you out. It's going to be amazing. So please, once again, this is a 5-part series. Part number 1, what is it? You got to put out the fire. You got to kill the giant. That's what it's all about, all right? If you do that, you are on the path to the right. So please put test in the comments if you're interested in that. I would love to help you out. It's been a great night. So thank you for watching part number 1. Just like I tell my son every day before he goes to school, be your very best today. Hashtag never quit. And I believe that God wants the very, very best for you. And the day you believe that, it'll change your life forever. Have an awesome, awesome day.